Greetings, viewers. What I have sitting in front of you is a Sony Webbie HD model MHS-CM1 high definition 5 megapixel MP4 recording camera. Now, I'm not really entirely sure what Sony was going for with this, if this was supposed to be a cheap, like, kids first camera or something similar. It was introduced, I believe, around 2010, 2009, somewhere in there. I actually just noticed right now that it's got a lens cap, but anyway, for whatever it may be, I'm going to assume probably around 2009, 2010 to compete with the likes of the flip camera, probably most closely to the Flip Minnow HD, which is what I've got sitting right here from Pure Digital. This was before the Cisco buyout, anyway. But it feels really cheap. I mean, here's a normal camera right beside it for size comparison purposes. You can see that it's quite a bit smaller, but even though it's quite a bit smaller, it just kind of it doesn't really feel like a Sony product. It feels like one of those cheap off-brand things. And I know somebody on YouTube who I used to be subscribed to their channel, and they used one of these way back in the day, and I don't think they were too thrilled with it either. And all the reviews that I find online say that it's really bad in the low lights. The image sensor is not very good, it's very noisy, and the controls are cumbersome to use. I mean, when you compare it, if I can figure out where I put it, when you compare it to the Flip Minnow HD, obviously it's confusing, but personally I don't think it's too outlandish. I mean, it's a pretty typical control layout for a camcorder. Go in and open it. It'll turn on. You could probably get something of an idea for the low light, poor quality, because that's what it's looking at. And I can barely see it. So, this thing will do 1080p, 30 frames per second. I think I can actually figure out how to do this, because I don't remember. There's a way to do it. Oh, yeah, this button. So maybe it is a little confusing, but you can do 1080p, 30 FPS, 720p 30 FPS, or VGA. Which is pretty similar to this camera I'm using now, the Kodak ZI-8, except the ZI-8 will do 60 FPS with 720p, so it's even a little better. The one other stupidity that, you know, it's Sony, I guess, so it's got to use its Memory Stick Pro Duos, which really kind of limits what's going on. And I tried putting a 16 gigabyte card in here, although it's a 16 gigabyte SD card and a Pro Duo adapter, and it wouldn't take it. It would act like it would actually work, but then it wouldn't work. There's your DC input, your USB connection, and your AV out. I think you do get a little bit of onboard storage, but it's obviously not enough to use. And it gives you something like 19 seconds of 1080p video, but, you know. The one thing that this does have that most of these cheap pocket cameras don't is optical zoom. It also does have a video light, but again, the reviews that I've seen call this thing a piece of garbage. So, and in my testing, it doesn't seem like it really does a whole lot. It also only has a mono microphone, which surprised me for something like this. I mean, even the cheaper cameras, you know, most cameras in 2009 had a stereo microphone. I think the Flip doesn't, the Minnow HD, but this does. Or at the very least, it records in stereo. So, anyway. I think I've said all that I need to say about it. I'll let the footage do the talking as far as the quality goes. So we'll be right back thanks to the magic of video editing. Okay. We're now shooting some test video using the Sony Webbie HD model MHS-CM1. And I think that out of Not all of the cameras I've tested, because I mean, I did have that sharp view cam with the really, really bad low light sensitivity, but this one's pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty blind. I'm not sure why it's so bad. I don't know how bad the audio is. Somebody that I used to be subscribed to had one of these things way back in the day, and I remember the audio sounding really strange on it, where it would change pitch all the time. Or, sorry, not change pitch, change volume level. It's almost like it was applying some kind of a loudness equalization thing to it. I don't know, it was very weird. But here it is. Okay, how about a video light test? That's almost useless. Like, really, it is almost useless. I can hear the focus hunting. Well, okay, it's not all, it's not useless. It does do something, but it's not very good. You don't get very much range out of it. Though I wonder how much of that's the LCD. It could be the fault of the LCD. I don't know. Flicker reduction doesn't seem to work either. Somehow I'm not surprised. You can barely see that clock. Well, it doesn't do too bad here. Light doesn't even really help. Well, you can't hear it now. I hear dripping noises. It's almost like a fart in a whirlwind. The focus constantly hunts, too. I've noticed that. Can't seem to keep focus. That's generally what you get with cheaper cameras, though. It's kind of pathetic. I can't focus on that. Barely even see that computer. And the light doesn't help. some low light video shot with the Sony Webbie HD. I think the zoom control is broken. Oh, there we go. Let me get some zoom. Very picky. Does not do focusing very well. I think it were pitch black out. It's not. Not totally. Yeah, you could really see that it doesn't focus very well. Kind of unfortunate. Yeah, there's not much to see, because you can't see much. Well, so much for showing that, I guess. Oh, there we go. I think that's pretty much it for the Webbie HD. Kind of a disappointing camera, you know. I mean, it's cheap. I knew that beforehand. But it seems like they probably still could have given you a little bit more for how cheap it is. You know, the Kodak ZI-8 that I was using to shoot the earlier portions of video, I think is a better camera than this. Although at least this one's got the benefit of having optical zoom. But I mean, what good is that if the image sensor just can't see anything? So, that's all I have to say about it. Thank you for watching, and if you've got any comments, please do feel free to leave them down below.